BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 420. It is the second weekend, which means it's either a week that we choose a film from a particular year or label week. And this week happens to be label week, and we thought we'd do something different and take a look at those things that are considered to be bootleg, those things in our collection that do not have a proper release, but they should have some sort of release. And I was thinking about the film that I'm going to look at here, Godzilla from 1977, a Cozzi film of sorts, right? He did have his sort of creative print or thumbprint, fingerprint, whatever, on this film in terms of colorization, in terms of some minor differences with the score and just the layout of it, how it looked, stock footage, just the vibe over the overall presentation. Now, this bootlegged cut of Cozzi's film, Godzilla, aka Cozilla, is compliments of BDG Reviews in his podcast. They have something that they're calling the Graveyard Collection. So far, there's only 3 in there. Iced, it's from the 80s, right? Cozilla, and then one they've recently put out for Blood Beach. Now, whatever you may or may not think about bootlegged, is it okay, not okay, I can say that there was a time when I would have, like, really frowned on the whole entire notion and really tried my best to keep stuff out of my collection that was bootleg. But, you know, the more I've been at this now, you know, my thoughts have evolved over a little bit. Like, you know, look at this film, for instance, Cozilla, aka Cozilla, or Godzilla from Cozzi, 77, an Italian release of the 1954 classic film. You know, I don't think it really, outside of Italy, got much of any sort of release at all. And that's, you know, and that's sort of a shame in a way. I mean, you look at the, just the entirety of what was attempted in terms of taking this 54 film, reintroducing it to Italian audiences in 77, amping up the vibe a little bit by just introducing stock footage, and a lot of it, man, some from World War II, real footage of Hiroshima and the aftermath. Of course, this is what Godzilla is born out of, right? And, you know, some people may or may not agree with seeing real atrocity on film integrated into something that is not. I think, you know, by and large, that's true, and that's fine. But when you're talking about something like Godzilla, or shoot, even when we're talking about some of the unpleasantness of cannibal holocaust and the wantingness to remove some of that, to tame it down for consumption by removing the animal killings and stuff, you know, something like Godzilla, I mean, think about it. Godzilla is born out of a world that, you know, the atomic age was born in light of Nagasaki and Hiroshima, in an attempt to bring to a quick halt World War II. But the world is ushered into a new age, the atomic age. And with that, in terms of how film looked at, of course, we got the whole era of monster films, you know, them, and, you know, all these films that would come, shoot, even, you know, Think from Another World, but a lot of movies that went after this notion that atomic energy had a negative impact on, you know, animals and whatnot. This new era, okay, Godzilla, man, is born out of, right, this horrifying event. I'm not going to get into the morality of dropping those bombs. I think if you know anything about World War II, I don't know a whole lot to argue about. The choices were few. But anyways, it is a horrifying event, and it's one that, you know, we ought to consider in light of Godzilla and what Godzilla attempts to do in terms of this new era, this horrifying age that man has suddenly stepped into. I don't know if this is necessarily wrong or immoral that Cozzi decided to put in real World War II footage, you know, integrated in. It can be, and if it's upsetting, maybe that's good. Because these are things we ought to see. I mean, how many of us are going to go out of our way to actually watch a World War II documentary? I mean, you know, some of us, but I mean, so I mean, you know, but the colorization process, Cozzi says he's the first that introduced this idea of colorizing a black and white film to color. I don't know if that's true or not, but he says it is. And, you know, you got Frizzy, you know, who's at least part of retransforming the score a little bit. In fact, I will say this, man, in the opening few seconds of the film, as you're being immersed into some of the just pre-Hiroshima footage, I'm telling you, this is 77, Zombie comes out in 79, but I'm telling you, it's like Frizzy's first steps into what will be the score for Zombie. It is eerie. I wish the entire film, I wish Frizzy would have been given charge to create a score for this whole film. If you're going to do something, do it. I think it could have been absolutely insane. If the coloring process, which is really not the greatest in the world, the cutting here and there, using elements of the horrific American cut of the masterpiece Japanese original 54. I think the American cut comes in 56 with Raymond Burr. You know, they use combination for a runtime that is somewhere between the two original films. You know, and the overall production is not the highest quality by any stretch. But, you know, this is the type of thing, we're talking bootlegged here, right? This is the type of thing that, why should this film be on my shelf in a bootlegged form when somebody like Criterion, right, could grab a hold of this, do a real nice cleanup? I don't know if this movie will ever look that great to begin with, but you could put some, you know, put a great historian track on there, commentary track, that could talk about some of the World War II footage that was integrated, you know, talk about what was attempted here, and why this movie maybe shouldn't be ignored. It should be seen. You know, this is Cozzi sort of wanting to, you know, he's not going to release a 54 film in black and white, you know, reintroduce it into Italy black and white. He's got to do stuff to it. He's got to colorize it. He's got to do some... All right, sorry about that. My son just sort of came in, and anyways, I'm trying to think where my thought was now. You're going to have to do some things when reintroducing a film like this into Italy in 77. And so, you know, so some of the creative choices involved, of course, as I just said, colorization, the score, the stock footage, the overall production is just sort of tampered with in the extreme. Now that's either going to settle with you or it's not going to settle with you. But it's definitely, for the reasons I said, it's worth checking out. And if you can't get your hands on a bootleg copy, I'm sure I'm almost positive you can watch this on YouTube. Cozilla, I'm almost positive. But, you know, talking about a bootleg, just the nature of bootleg, I wanted to share this real quick. First bootlegged copy of something I ever got, you can't see this probably, but it's Stage Fright from 1987. When I was a kid, all I wanted for my birthday one year was in the back of the Fangoria magazine where you could buy stuff, I found a VHS copy of Stage Fright, and that's all I wanted. Now, be it was probably 80 bucks or something crazy, and that's all I wanted, man. I wanted a nice, pristine VHS release of this film. I love that movie. And instead, what I get from my parents is, I don't know where they even got this from, but it's pirated off a Japanese Laserdisc. So, you know, you watch side 1, then you watch side 2, and you have to deal with the Japanese subtitles. But, you know, and this really, now, I do have multiple versions of this film now in their original release. But, you know what, I guess my idea here is, if no one's going to put something like this out, if no one's going to put out, you know, let's just say Blood Beach from 80, right? Which is right up Scream Factory's alley. Now, I don't know what the deal is of copyrights, what the issue is, or something like Iced. I mean, that's another one that's right up Scream Factory's release. But I don't know where all that is in terms of copyright and who has it, who doesn't, and why these movies. You would think something like Blood Beach, man, John Saxon, Burt Young, why something like this has not been a major release from Scream Factory. And you know, I said my thoughts have evolved over the years. Look, I'm not going to go just pile in bootleg stuff just to have bootleg stuff, okay? But if there's something really hard to find that you cannot find, I mean, really in the end, what is the difference between having a copy of this and going on YouTube and watching it? I don't think there's anything, you know, any difference at all. If you can see it on YouTube, there's no problem it being on your shelf. And quite frankly, what BDG Reviews, what his podcast, what he's doing in terms of the presentation, and I ought to mention too, on this, that's gone now, but on this, there are 3 things in the extras that are fantastic. I got to receive, God, it's been years, Bambi meets Godzilla, which is just freaking epic. I want to say that was from what, 60, yeah, what was it, 69, I think, that short cartoon came. And then also Bambi's Revenge, and then one that I'd never even heard of, Godzilla versus Darth Vader or something like that. That was just epically, just absolutely so funny, man. But Bambi, man, it's funny, I was reading just a little bit up on that, and I guess I should have got it when I was rewatching it. But the whole idea there, I guess, is Godzilla stomps down on Bambi, right? It's the stomping down on Disney, and I know Disney on some levels is doing just a fantastic job these days with some elements of the Marvel universe and what they're doing. But what they did with Star Wars, I don't mind, you know, seeing. I wouldn't mind seeing Disney just. I don't have Disney Plus. I'm not gonna have Disney Plus. But anyways, that's way off the beat track. Bootlegs. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's a tough watch, only because of just how the picture quality is not the best in the world. It's pretty rough to get through, but hearing elements of Frizzy's score and what he was allowed to do, just the presentation, and just what Cozzi was trying to do. I mean, it's worth a watch every once in a while. But it's just like, man, what could have this really been like, man? Had this got a real proper treatment and a real proper release, if real money would have got in there, if you would have let Frizzy do a whole score, if you would have had cooperation from the original creators of Godzilla, if there just would have been an effect of cooperation, this could have been really interesting, and it is interesting. So, and if you want to hear a little bit pre-zombie score, man, the opening minute or so, but then not even the full minute, but the closing credits. It's I think pretty sure Frizzy had something to say about that, because it again is very pre-zombie by a couple years, right? This is 77, Zombie 79, so a couple years. But Fabio Frizzy, man, I mean, Cozzi, and just some of that, and the help that he did have. He did have the guy who, oh God, I can't, Guy Roy or something like that. He also was involved in 57? There was a French release where they also altered this film, the original Godzilla. They altered it for a French release, and he was part of that process, and he also is part of this process. So, so here we go, man. Bootleg week. We're all week long. We're going to be talking about just the nature of bootlegged material, and I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see the videos drop as they do throughout the week. Of course, this is Wednesday, so we've already had 2 drop, and we'll see throughout the rest of the week how that goes. And we're in September already, on our way to October. So the 31 Days of Horror across YouTube is going to be it's going to be starting up soon. And then at the end of the month, we do have a special theme week, a movie from the first letter of our YouTube channel. And then as we get into October, of course, films from 1986. And I'll wrap up the month with my own theme week for Island Horror. So good couple months here before us, man. Football's in full strength, man. It's fall time. It's a good time, man. It's a good time. So we'll just, Cozilla. Cozzi 77, unauthorized, colorized, jacked up version, man. Bootlegged. But you can see it on YouTube, man. We'll just leave it there with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.